Hey friends, this is Eric White with OpenXMLDeveloper.org. Today I'm going to go through the New-Docx Cmdlet that is part of the new PowerTools for OpenXML version 3.0. First point is, if you haven't watched the introduction to PowerTools for OpenXML 3.0, I recommend that you do that before you watch this screencast. It'll enable you to play around with the various things that I'm going to show you today. The commandlet that I'm going to talk about today is the New-Docx Cmdlet. We can, of course, go into Windows Explorer and we can right-click in some directory and we can click on the new option on the context menu and we could create a new Word document here. That's all fine and good. It creates an empty document, and if I want to play around with some feature of that document, I can go into Word, I can edit that document, and then eventually I can look at that document in the OpenXML package editor PowerTool to look at the markup that was there. A common scenario for me as an OpenXML developer is that I get a question from some reader on OpenXMLDeveloper.org that asks, how does such and such a feature work in the markup? So this means that I'm commonly going into Windows Explorer and Word and creating some temporary document, then modifying it as appropriate, and then looking at the markup and then explaining the markup. One thing that's very valuable to me in the new version of PowerTools for OpenXML version 3.0 is that I can really easily go in and create new documents of a variety of types with a variety of kinds of content inside them. I'm going to show you what this is all about and how you can even customize this for yourself. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do my favorite trick here, which is to go into the address bar in the Windows Explorer and type PowerShell ISE. And what this does is this opens up a PowerShell integrated scripting environment at that location in my file system. I don't have this particular computer set up to automatically import the Open XML for PowerTools module, so I'll run import module oxpt, and now I have all of the commandlets available for my use. Well, now I can type New-Docx and I'll give it some name, temp.docx, and now I have a whole variety of options that I can specify for this type of document, for this sample document. I can tell it, well, maybe I need a cover page, and also maybe I need an embedded workbook, whatever. And the New-Docx commandlet will create one that quickly. We can open up that document. In PowerShell, you can just specify the name of the document with a relative or absolute path, press enter, and because that extension is associated with Word, it will open up the document. And here we can see there is a cover page and there is an embedded Excel workbook in this document. I can even double click on that embedded Excel workbook, and if I wait, sooner or later, it will open up the editing capability in this document. This is actually Excel running at this point in time, just in a very limited window within my Word document. Well, that's all fine and good. It's nice to be able to create a whole variety of sample documents in that fashion. One interesting point about this is that these documents are created using the Open XML SDK, and in fact, more specifically, they're created using the document builder module in PowerTools for Open XML. This means that the markup in these documents will vary very slightly from the way Word would save that same document. Those of you who have worked with OpenXML for some time know that there are a few slight differences in the patterns of markup that the OpenXML SDK generates when compared to the markup that Word itself generates. We might not care about this, but we might want to see exactly what the markup that Word generates for this particular document. So we can actually use another option here, which is load and save using Word. And what this does is this uses some PowerShell script to automate Word and load and save the document after we have generated it using the new Docx Cmdlet. So this obviously takes just a little bit longer because we had to spin up Word, instruct Word to load and save that document. I'm not going to go in and edit that document. I have set up a little function in my .profile such that I can start up Visual Studio just by typing VS, and I can specify an argument such as temp.docx, and because I have installed the Open XML package editor PowerTool for Visual Studio, typing VS followed by the name of that document starts up Visual Studio and then puts me into the outline mode for the Open XML package editor PowerTool. So I could come in here and I could actually look at the main document part. I can format the XML. I can go through and look at the markup in detail. One thing about this new version of PowerTools for Open XML is that it's super easy to add new options to the new Docx Cmdlet. Let's say that in your particular scenario, you want to add the ability to look at various forms of revision tracking for styling. In the Open XML PowerTools directory that you'll have if you install the Open XML for PowerTools 3.0 per the instructions that I gave in the introductory video, there is a folder called New-Docx Documents. Let's add a new option for revision tracking for changes in formatting. Well, I'm going to start putting this together using the new Docx Cmdlet itself. So the option that I'll give for this, I'll call it Revision Tracking Formatting. The name that I give this sample document, that's going to be the name of the parameter that we're going to have for our new version of the new Docx Cmdlet. So I need some kind of plain content in there. So I'm going to generate a plain document. Now I'm going to edit this in Word itself, and I'm going to create some markup that has revision tracking for formatting. I'll open it in Word. And here we have a simple little paragraph. I'll go to the Review tab. I'll turn on Tracked Changes. I'll double click here and I'll make this be bold. So now we have a document that has a bolded run in there that has revision tracking specified for that bolded run. Let's save this. And the convention that I use to specify the description of the argument that we have here is we're going to create another file that has the exact same base name with the extension of .txt, and the contents of that file is going to be a small paragraph or phrase that indicates what this option is about. Easiest way to do that is tab until you get the docx, and then just replace the extension with txt. Now we're all done getting ready to generate our new docx. So I'm going to run a script called generate new Docx Cmdlet.ps1. Let's run that fellow. There, we're done generating our new Docx Cmdlet. In order to try this out, the first thing I have to do is I have to remove the module and then re-add the module. So I'll remove the module OXPT, import module OXPT, specify the forest parameter. Now I can go new docx and I'll give it a name test.docx. And sure enough, we have a new option, revision tracking formatting. I'll specify that. And then when I look at test.docx, sure enough, I have the content that has that formatting with revision tracking on the new document. So how does this work? I'm going to change directory into the OXPT directory, and in this directory there is a file called New-Docx Template.ps1. Let's look at that. This template is a template that has special keywords here and there in there. There's this parameter documentation comment here. If we drop down here, we see this parameter declaration comment. We drop down a little bit further, we see this parameter use comment, and all the rest of it is just standard PowerShell script. What happens is that when I run that script to generate a new Docx Cmdlet, it takes all of those documents in that folder that we were in, the new Docx documents directory, and it takes this template document and it creates a new script, this new docx.ps1. Let's look at that. And up here, it's added the .parameter notation in the comments for this commandlet. And here we can see this .parameter revision tracking formatting, and it has the text there, revision tracking for formatted text. We can also see down below where it inputs the actual declaration of all of those parameters, and if we drop down even further, we can see the use of all of those parameters, and then all the rest is just boilerplate, ordinary code, PowerShell code or PowerShell script that implements this particular commandlet. We can also look at another script named DocxLive.ps1. This is an interesting script. It uses the convert to base 64 commandlet to create an entire library of base 64 encoded ASCII strings, each one with the appropriate name of the document for that string. And that enables the new Docx commandlet to go find all of the appropriate base 64 encoded strings, convert them to binary using the convert from base 64 commandlet, and assemble all of these various documents into a single document using the merge docx commandlet. It's a fair number of moving parts, but as you can see, it's not rocket science. It's relatively straightforward. This approach enables us to create all kinds of new options for the new Docx commandlet. I'm sure we will be adding many more options to this new Docx commandlet over time. I want to make it so that I can very easily create a whole variety of sample documents for whatever scenario I'm working on at the moment. And that's all there is to cover in this video. Short and sweet. Thanks for watching. I hope the PowerTools for Open XML are useful to you. Come back often to openxmldeveloper.org and see the new content that we're always producing. You can follow me on Twitter at EricWhiteDev, and you can follow Open XML Developer on Twitter at OpenXMLDev. Cheers.